like the roll call, everyone's here. The next thing's the approval of the minutes from the previous meetings, I guess, from last
How
week.
about the last, I thought, well, that's like
Those were,
June the 16th. Those should be, and then June 29th. And then our last meeting was July 5th, which there wasn't any motion against, that's just when we did that, so I don't have those minutes, so you can, I can bring those next. Like 7 minutes next week.
everyone just let me know when you've had time to review them.
I don't see anything wrong with it. Myself. Make a motion to approve.
Okay, a motion's been made to approve both sets of minutes. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a second? Heather, second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. And the next thing is the financial report. Approval of expenditures.
The last page of that is just the savings, well, it's a checking, but it's a savings, but anyway, that's what the last page is. I'll copy that in there so you can see what the interest is in the bills. And then after this meeting, I know where we had you emotionally when you were doing projects on it, so that's in these minutes. So once these are approved, then.
Yeah,
so
that'll go to
now,
the bank,
yeah.
okay.
So I was thinking, that should have already been done, but then I realized we had
Yeah,
approved
that's
this.
approved.
And then I've got the purchase orders. Just sent them to that's fine. She's got the purchase orders that needs to be approved, and then these are just 3 flowers out front. And John Sparks, who's an author from all over the paper, he offered about the books. And then we sent the ATM in, but, so these was just kind of petty cash. Those, and then here's all the bills that were done online, but they're reflected in the statements, so. And then our insurance is still the way we told, so we're missing that. Trail with our fiscal year back from K-House, so those are the 2 bills that you need to
Okay, Cole. had a chance to look them over. I'll entertain a
Let
motion.
me say a couple of things to make sure. I don't know, you may know these things, but I think it's important for everybody to be on the same page. I was looking at the CAECO invoice, and of course, there's two here, one for workers' compensation fund, which would be workers' comp coverage that's required by statute. The other is the, basically the liability policy invoice. And I think it's good for you to know that it's a 2-year policy. You're only invoicing for the first year. Since you're voting to pay it now, you're paying it before August 1st, which entitles you to a discount, which is a good thing. The general liability policy is for $1 million per occurrence with an aggregate of $3 million. What may be particularly interesting to you is that there's an errors and omissions portion of that, which covers the board. There will be any error or omission that the board may do. You've got coverage for that, which is the same limits of $1 million and $3 million. And considering where you are, I think it's also good to know that it also includes flood insurance. It does not include earthquake. There's not an earthquake rider. I don't know if that's something that you want or consider. For this building, I don't know that it's worth talking about, but I think the next time it comes around, for the minimal cost of earthquake rider with the new building they have, it's probably something you may want to consider.
Did that cover tornado damage?
The general liability
Okay.
would cover tornado. And there's also, there's an employee dishonesty. The limits of that are $150,000. And if there's a claim made against the library, which would allow us to have them provide a legal defense, there's a limit of what they'll pay, which is $100,000, which honestly to me sounds kind of low, but that's what it is. So before you voted on it, I wanted you to know and understand what it is that you've got.
Okay, with that being said, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the bills, the financial statement and the bills from the
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
I will.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, looks like the next item here, number 6, is unfinished business architectural agreement between the Magoffin County Public Library and Summit Engineering Incorporated. And we're glad to have a representative from Summit on hand.
We're very glad to be here again. Following last week, I guess it was last week's meeting, Kevin reviewed with me the comments that had been, Mr. May had brought up. We have since incorporated those comments into the proposed contract, sent those back to David for his review. I'm sorry, Mr. Fox. I'm still learning everyone here. Bear with me. Bear with me. I sent those back to Mr. Fox for his review. We had a conversation earlier this afternoon. I advised him of one thing that we did not incorporate, just because the way our insurance are set up. We have provided, and this is kind of state regulation on the, not state regulation, but it's a state standard for finance administration work on the errors and omissions insurance. We have a $2 million and a $2 million policy, which is very typical for all state project work, and that remains in the contract as based. But I went ahead and brought originals of the two contracts for your review and processing if you all choose to.
I did. I went through the contract, all the items that we discussed before, which required a change. We talked about a lot of things, the things that we asked that they change, those have been changed with the exception of the insurance coverage. You know, the thing about the insurance coverage, I explained to you, I felt like it would be good if you had a higher limit. But in our discussion, there's a standard way of doing things, and the $2 million coverage is what they have. If you want more, it's gonna delay the project. And I'm sure that they contemplated their price based on the coverages that they had. So an additional cost would be incurred for us to have greater coverage that they would have to buy as a kind of a one-off thing for us. All things considered, considering the progress or lack of progress of the project so far, and the additional costs, and the likelihood that you're not going to reach the policy limits that you have, I think you ought to go ahead and accept the contract basis.
Yeah, look at this one. Do you want to look at that?
I could read a week on that.
I just skimmed through things that I recognized that I knew.
It's very, very basic.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I know.
The AIA document is
We went, for the recommendations that Mr. Fox made there, we got a good dose of it, and it's, but it'd be time consuming, especially for a layman like myself. Well, based on that and things, if anybody, if you want to take time to look at it or anything, or if you want to.
If the contract meets your approval, then there will be a motion to approve the contract and to direct the chair to sign on behalf of the board.
Make a motion to approve the contract as is now, and that the chairman sign off, and let's get going.
Is there a second?
I do.
All right, any more discussion? All those in favor of awarding this contract to Summit Engineering, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Looks like the contract's been awarded. Congratulations. Now, looks like the next thing is review a trustee application, selection of trustee candidates.
Somebody come in since we put the ad in the paper.
Good.
That's good, at least they were reading it.
Do we need to select 4 or 2 for each?
No, we'll just be selecting 2 today from, it's not required to be recognized by fiscal court, but under the circumstances, since we have passed for the first one, yeah, we can, and then 2 will be selected at the next.
2 of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is just for the,
This is to fulfill
the
Lana's,
land place, yeah.
which is a 3-year, I think she was appointed 3 years, so this will be fulfilling her inspection. And then we'll select, and I'm not sure, like I said, that's, most of those have come in, since the advertisement. You know, at the middle school, library patron. Part of their, she's a library patron, she's, attends our book club. And then something like I said, a couple of them, will or have been in the fall. I haven't contacted them to see if they're still interested, you know what I'm saying?
I think you could do it a couple different ways, but if you're only selecting 2 of the 6, are you gonna keep the other 4 as candidates? for the
Yes,
next
that's what,
item?
we can go ahead, yes.
Would you like to see these?
Curious.
Two, wait.
Yeah, 2 and
Then 2 the next time.
Probably ought to advertise it one more time. The other selection. And are you gonna wait until the first position is filled before, that may be,
yes.
so I think.
I see what you're saying.
So you don't want those can be fine, but I think to keep things stable, you would want to advertise it with the other position.
And this does not, I know we did before, but it's not required, this is can just be under discussion. It's not in form, it doesn't have to be in form of a motion, they just ask me to let you know that, okay, it's no discussion, because you're supposed to, you know, send in 2 names that either name would be.
This is my first meeting where you've made a selection of select candidates. How have you done in the past?
It's just been, now I think on the, in this board, or was the board appointed on this board, was you here? I think we made that last meeting's in the form of, what was when Heather? You
Yeah.
said Heather's name, and it was done in the form of a motion, I
Right,
think.
it was, because we had to
But
go through.
always prior to, but, I mean, that's just how, from Katie, when I called to ask about it, and that's what Tim had said. So it's entirely up to the board, you can do it in the form of a motion, but, or just discussion, so. That was just when I called to, verify that if they had to be recognized through the fiscal court and stuff. No, all my board was, well, no, I had 2 new board members when you went off, David, and when Janelle went off. And so, I just, it was hard to, I mean, we didn't do the application process, but just ask people and kind of ask our patrons and things. And so I just brought it to the meeting. David would have been at that meeting, and Jackie and Tracy was. I can tell you, I can tell you a little bit about, I mean, I can tell you how I know them from, as the director, and a lot of times that's what, other libraries, they will let their director do their interviewing, they'll do like interviewing process for, candidates, but anyway, library patron, member of the club, library patron.
Remember the book club.
Yes. Library patron, always, relationship with the schools, and, we work hand in hand on several different programs at the library. Library, excellent library patron. Library patron. I mean, they're in here, and when I say library patrons, I'm talking, these people are in here on weekly, basis. I mean, I see them, you know, every month. And this fine person, I know him personally, but, he's not a library patron as of right now, but good, upstanding citizen, so.
Yeah.
All of them are, you know, I think would be well received in communities, trustees on library board, so.
Well, I think, I No, this is just my opinion.
I'd like to see this.
I'd like to see that one
Oh,
and that one.
and you like that?
I mean, that's my opinion.
You got there.
Either one makes it.
They make it
Yeah,
good.
they like it.
I mean, they're all good, but those two I know that would. And they would not cause, any controversy because they're for the right thing.
We look for the, anybody, and that's what, anyone that fill these out, they know that, they want to see the community have a nice library, so.
Yeah, I think anybody that would be willing to serve on this board,
Yes,
they've
well,
obviously
yes.
got the interest of the library at heart.
Yeah.
And, well, and there'll be another slot open here at the next
Yeah, we
meeting,
will.
so that'll be okay.
These
That's,
two today, correct? 'Cause
Is
we're
that
at
okay?
the
That's
Yeah.
okay with me?
So I'll submit
And-
these today. 'cause
In the
they're-
meantime, there was one there I'm thinking about, but it'd be good to talk to him because,
Mhm,
and
yeah,
I
that's what I
said
said.
him,
Yeah.
but you know,
Um,
things change.
yeah, that's why I was,
Make sure he's still willing to serve. You don't want to go through this process and then,
yeah.
the rest of the I didn't want to fool with it.
And then she's gonna advertise.
Then
again.
advertise it again, and then 2 more.
But I'll wait, I'm thinking we need to get one of these appointed before we, so what'll happen, this will be submitted to KDLA. They'll just verify that they're,
And then they'll send it straight on to the courthouse.
yes, and then it'll be
When is
physical
the
court,
meeting?
21st.
21st of August. Is that when the physical court meeting is?
Just meet this month, so.
Yes, that's what it's, and so this will,
Oh, yeah, this month.
it'll come back to them, and so hopefully they'll have it on their agenda, and then this report will pick one of the two. And so then at our next meeting, we should have, all those.
I think that's good.
Would it,
So you-
would it be helpful if one or more members of the board attended your fiscal court meeting and asked that they make an expeditious decision?
All right.
I would think you should do
The
it.
director?
You used to going.
With this court meeting.
And see Tree that did on the agenda.
Yeah, I just think it's important that we have a fully constituted board.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the excitement has died down. You're moving forward. But it's important to have at least the 4 members, if not the 5. It's important to have all 5. because Until you have a 4th, you're not gonna have a meeting unless all 3 of them are here.
Yeah.
And there are potentially things that have come up in a short notice that's gonna prevent one of them from coming. So,
The quorum is based on 5.
It is.
Irregardless whether the vacancy.
That's right.
Why didn't I
That's
see
right.
her shirt? Well, she'd
So-
have been bragging.
So I guess I would just suggest that, and I don't know that I need to, I'm happy to come, but I think it's maybe a way to say,
Yeah.
we just really like for this to happen quickly.
And it shows that we are interested. Definitely not by being present.
Okay, do we need a motion to authorize you, or is it just like we used to do, just go ahead and?
No, it's just an
We
online now,
reached
so
an
it's
agreement,
ready.
just go
Yeah.
ahead and submit those
Just
things.
let the
It's
record,
been under
in the
discussion,
minutes,
yeah.
that there was a consensus on the two nominees.
Okay, looks like the next thing in new business here is review of the bylaws.
Let me talk about that for a second. As I started looking at those, what seems to be common, it's logical, is that bylaws, when adopted, establish a fiscal year for the library purposes. And because statute requires that you pass a budget in July, a lot of the bylaws establish the fiscal year for the library board beginning in August. So that the budget is adopted, it's basically at the last meeting for the upcoming year, you see. What I think makes some sense is that you plan to adopt bylaws at your regular August meeting. And at that time, because it's establishing the new fiscal year and establishing the bylaws that you elect officers, the common thing that I've seen is a separate secretary and treasurer. I think the way you're all handling it makes some sense, is having that combined. A chair, vice chair, and a secretary / treasurer. And of course, the duties and responsibilities of the director being outlined. And then the function or the process of nominating replacement members. The statute says never replaced nomination. I do think between now and then that it would be helpful for your continuity of the board, because I think things are settling down. And I think as you've reviewed these kinds of applications, that you think about what the criteria ought to be for the people that are on board. I don't want to come off as somebody who's saying this is the way you ought to do it. I'm not saying that, but I'm offering some suggestions here. It is a library board, and having some thought to some diversity on the board would be good. In other words, having some variety of experience for the board members. If it's possible to have someone with some financial background, if it's possible to have someone with an educational background, someone who has other experiences that maybe, because of the diversity, they make your board better, rather than just saying, well, we've got, I'm not saying this is the case at all, but you don't want 5 school teachers as board members, 5 English teachers. It sounds great.
5 lawyers.
Or 5 lawyers, heaven forbid, get 5 lawyers, you're never getting anywhere. But having, it's kind of a silly example, but if you had 5 English teachers, it sounds like a great board for a library, but it wouldn't be. There's a lot of things that are going to come up, and diversity and variety of background is going to make your board better. So if you agree with that, then there ought to be some memorialization of that in the bylaws, saying that to the extent possible, that nominations for board members should consider diversity, patronage of the library, professional experience, those kinds of things.
Another thing that was addressed earlier, talked about in that, was board members from different geographic locations. This county
In the
still
county.
is big, but it's, and make sure each area of the county got
Right.
represented as much as possible.
Yeah, you don't want everybody that's on there that lives in town.
That's right.
That is
Out
one
in
of
the
that is
community.
one of, that, is required for different voting machines.
Yes.
So think about that. If you have
I mean, no,
But
I'm
it's
not
okay
saying,
for us to
but
separate
I mean, the
secretary.
KDLA
But to the
is
extent
saying-
possible,
No,
and to the
That's just
extent.
way to break it
Far
down,
from here,
but
she
it's-
lives way out, and he's here, so, that's what I was thinking.
Any of this too, to the extent possible, there may very well not be anybody from the southern tip of Alabama or something.
But that's my suggestion. I'm going to present those to you. I'm going to send those to you before the meeting. If there are questions or suggestions or additions that you want to those, just let me know and I'll incorporate them. We can always scratch through it or take an ink pen and add to it at the meeting and then find them up later. So, but I think establishing it on the fiscal year, just go ahead and follow the bylaws that you're establishing, which would be to elect officers. Those probably ought to be annual appointments. people can be reelected, but you need to do it on an annual basis. And just,
Yeah, they can be reelected. I think in the PDLA, it's 2 years, but it can be adjusted,
Sure.
to the reelected. But
Sure.
they can serve like as treasurer for 2 years or.
Because that's how it's now on most boards.
so that's all I had to say.
So I guess
At our next meeting.
we'll
we'll have
entertain
some
that at
bylaws.
the next meeting, we'll discuss
Put
that.
that on the agenda.
Okay. Okay, and this is a regular meeting, so is there anything else, anybody? Anybody have anything to discuss?
Oh, I'm having summer reading next week. If you all want to, if all you board members want to come over. No, I did reschedule it, so it's for them, so, and then the pool party is on the 22nd, so probably we'll have good.
I hope we have good turnout.
19th, 20th, and 21st.
Well, I had mentioned about, I've got this wayfinding signage project, and I need to.
Oh, yes,
need to put one of the wayfinding signs, they're gonna be real pretty signs. They're a 4-inch fluted post with an acorn finial and a scroll bracket and a sign that shows, and one of them will be pointing to the library, but I need to put one in the very corner, just
Yeah.
off the state right of way. And I just wanted to see if it was all right with the board if we do
Yes,
that.
I
Sure
also
don't
had
want-
that on the
I'll get
agenda.
with-
so-
I'll get with you all with some, it'll make sure not to get in the way of any construction or anything, but, the reason I want to just get off the state right of way, because the state makes it so hard, I don't know if it would even be possible with the regulations they have on the
When will
signage.
you be, when will,
They should be
Very
in
soon.
about 3 weeks, is what told me they're gonna start this off, so it'll be, I can bring it up at the next meeting, maybe.
yeah, well, did you send me an email? on that?
Uh-huh, yeah. Yeah, did you see the attachment, see the picture of the sign?
No, that's what I said, I forgot about it, but I mean, I didn't get the email, so.
Well, it
this
doesn't
is
matter,
my
we can talk
reason.
about it later, it's no big deal.
You can
but
even
I
have a
just wanted
picture
to-
of the sign.
Yeah.
And I've also
Yes.
got to get permission at
I'll
the
put it on
Methodist
there.
Church and at the Historical Society and Administrative Office of the Courts.
So how many will they be?
Hmm.
How many will they?
10, there's 10
Yeah,
altogether.
signs.
They are beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah, they're pretty.
I should have known you'd already said.
What it is, the signs will point to things that exist here now, but then down below it, there'll be a QR code that you can scan with your smartphone that'll have a picture of what used to be there, just like where the Justice Center is. I'll have a picture then of the courthouse that burned in 1957, even though the one prior to that.
Yes.
Jimmy Allen's got a picture of it, and then that, and then the one that was built in 58.
But the one before that wasn't
Yeah.
it wood frame.
Yeah, so, and Church Street is just fascinating, because there you've got the old bank building and the Christian church and the cannery building, Doug Patrick's, and you've got Uncle Billy Adams' grave up there, and there's a lot of stuff that you can think about.
That's really interesting, especially with the QR code scanner, that it'll pull up like a website of.
And then it can, and you can change it too, that's the thing, it can be fluid, because,
Oh, I like that.
but just like downtown business is just a broad category, but then you could have everything from J. Oakley Arnett's store to, things that I remember, and then on back, the old hotel and stuff. And the high school students are gonna help with it, the Data Club, and then they're committed to do
That's not
research,
good,
so it'll be a
isn't it?
learning process for them, and I hope we can get this up by Heritage Day, because the name of the grant was Discover Historic Salyersville, and it was a grant that came through the Russian Fork Institute, Appalachian Regional
Can we get
Commission.
brochures made up?
That's
Put in different places?
what I want to do, that was
Yeah.
there was 3 parts of the grant, the signage, the wayfinding signage, and, we're going to put up 30 hanging baskets with flowers down Parkway Drive, it's like a gateway and then into downtown. And then I put in there for 2,500 brochures, but then we can have one printed as we need to. That's the 3 parts of the
Because
grant.
I'm thinking
And,
that you stop at the park, on the parkway,
Mhm.
every county except for Loudoun.
Yeah, that's not, well, we got a grant for it, got $9,650, and,
Well,
I
that'll
think
help the
we'll be able to do
library
it.
too.
Yeah. So, I'm excited about it.
That's
Did you do it for the city
encouraging.
fair or?
Uh-huh, yeah, I did that back in December, and I'm kind of, the timeline that I had to lay out back then, I'm deviating a little bit from it, because it was right when the grant started in April, and then it was time for the prom, and for school to be out and everything, but they assured me, Chris Meadows told me today, now, he said, when school resumes August 11th, that's the first thing they've got on their calendar, is to help with converting, making the QR codes and doing the research
Did
and
they ever,
things.
did they ever do any of those on the Dawkins Trail? Because I know at that one meeting here, they,
It's been talked about, that's what, they've been working on that as a project.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn from the library.
Okay, okay, all right.
My daughter.
Meeting's adjourned.